Okay, so thank you for having us, first of all.
No worries. Thanks
Uh,
for having me.
This is a really cool gym, and this is like an amazing accomplishment to be part of, like, probably the nicest gym, let's be honest.
Thank you.
uh, yeah, so how are you finding it being a coach? And
Yeah, it's been pretty unreal, to be honest. Like, only 2 months in, and like the environment has been really lovely. I feel like we've been really lucky to have such a nice group of coaches. We're all getting on really well. Because like originally it was just all these different people from different places, and I knew a bunch of the guys, but I wasn't really like super close to them. Just kind of knew them from the scene, and we've all gotten really close in the last few months, just working together, and it's been really lovely.
that's awesome. How does that really work out? So it's like there's some coaches that just do like once a month or once a week, is it?
I mean, you've got like Owen or Flanagan comes in once a month, or like a guest. But I'm here. I teach 10 classes a week. Sam does, I think, about the same. So Sam Gibson, he's like the other main coach here, and then we have other coaches who teach like teens and kids, and we got Paxton in the mornings. So like they're like the main coach. Frankie as well teaches like women's and beginners. And kids too, so I'm just naming all the coaches there. But yeah, like we've got like the main group of coaches who are in all the time, and then you just have a guest here and there. So.
Awesome. Is this like the first luxury? Would you call this a luxury gym? I don't know what you class
I
it
guess
as.
I think it's luxurious.
Luxurious? Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure. I think so, but I don't know if it's the first. I don't know. I hesitate to say I think it's the first because someone comes in and corrects me immediately. I'm like, all right, sorry.
Yeah, there's like a big scene for this in like the normal conventional gym world in London now. So it's like interesting to see the like jiu-jitsu world starting to kind of copy it.
Yeah,
and
no,
do the
it's
same.
like it's kind of it reminds me of a third space. I don't know if everyone's familiar with that, like outside of London, but that came out so funny. You know, outside of London, you don't know about third space. But like I think it's kind of similar to that, and I think a lot of people were very like obviously critical of the price and things, but £200 a month. Third space is 280.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not quite the same, and also people have also blown the price out of proportion to what it actually is. But I'm also just kind of like, well, I understand that, but there are gyms at different price points that you can also attend. So if it's not something that you're interested in, that's absolutely okay. So.
I mean, it's got like the whole package. Like we had a little tour, and it's got an amazing gym facility, a sauna, and everything. And I think it's so good that it's all in one place. I think we were talking earlier as well, like with athletes, they have to go to one place to another to like have all these things and like conditioning and strengthening. But here it's just like all in one. Yeah. So it feels like it's really great.
Yeah, no, I love that you can. I just stay here all day, pretty much. I just hang out here all day. I usually just sit in the coffee shop between sessions. I can do my S&C here. We've got great coaches for S&C as well. And
is that Benjamin or is it?
Yeah, we've got Ben in. Yeah, he's
awesome.
great. Like he's so good, and yeah, just like it's pretty cool to be able to go in and do that. I don't have an excuse anymore. I can't be like, oh, I can't. My gym is so far away. It's like no, it's there on the second floor. But yeah, like I just love having everything in one spot. I've got a recovery place with the sauna and the plunge pool and stuff, which is pretty lush. Like I've joined gyms before purely because they have a sauna. Yeah. So I'm just like, I just want to go in there and be a lizard. But yeah, no, I'm really proud of it. I feel like it's also, not just all those extra additional things, but the quality of coaching is really high level. Everyone is really attentive. Everyone's working hard. We're discussing what we're going to be teaching and planning it, and we have a curriculum and a topic of the month and things like that to focus on. So I'm really proud of that we've also kept that side of things, because I think people thought a lot of it was just like, I don't know, like a lot of fancy outside stuff, and then the actual product may not be that good. But I think that it's, all that additional stuff is lovely, but I actually think the jiu-jitsu training is super elite. I wouldn't say that obviously, but yeah, I really believe in it, and I'm really proud of it. So.
Do you have like a pro team in here that you're like trying to grow, or?
Yeah, like we're sponsoring some athletes to come through.
The gym itself is sponsoring.
The guys are sponsoring some people. I think that's like the next focus now would be like the kids and teens program, because that's like the heart of every gym. Is like that's where you build people up and through. But obviously, like then also trying to support athletes who are already kind of prominent in the scene. So like although like yes, it is, it's a high price gym and all these things, like hopefully we can then put back into the community by sponsoring athletes as well.
That's really cool. I like on the note of sponsorships and I guess sponsoring kids, what do you think is like, what would you say, like obviously you've done the whole route from complete amateur to like top of the line pro, what would you say like is the right time to be looking for sponsors from like the point of view of an athlete?
I mean, it's hard. Like I'm very much pro get your funding where you can, well, not where you can, but within reason, obviously, but to put yourself out there. Like, I mean, I was, people make fun of GoFundMes, but you don't have to donate to a GoFundMe. You can scroll on by. But I had a GoFundMe when I was a blue belt. I did it to go to Nogi Worlds. It wasn't something that was affordable to me to go to America. It was an expensive place to go, expensive flights. And it wasn't my suggestion, but I remember people on my team were just like, just do it. And we want to sponsor you to go do this event. So set it up so we have a place to give you money pretty much. And I was like so embarrassed to do it. I felt like I was begging. I felt, it's uncomfortable to ask for money and to admit that you can't, you're maybe struggling financially and stuff. And I also had a job. It wasn't like I was just begging for money and I wasn't working. I also had a job, but like, I was living in Wales. You don't make much money.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not like a...
What were you doing?
I was working, at that time I was working as a receptionist in a gym. But I also bartended. I was a doorwoman,
maybe?
Door person.
Door person, yeah.
That was my main job before I switched to doing seminars and teaching. But yeah, I was working all the way through. I think maybe people have a perception that you're just like being a jiu-jitsu bum, but
yeah,
I was working at part-time.
Till like what level? When did you go pro? Like when did you no longer need outside income? Black belt. Okay.
Towards the end, I think I quit my job the summer I won Brown Belt Worlds, and then I moved to Ireland. And in that time, I just had to make sure I got a seminar every month. And then, I think I started getting paid by progress. I think when I won Nogi Worlds as a black belt. So that December. So that from then on, I would say I quit my job that summer, but I'd won money at World Pro. And that was like my buffer money to help me survive living in Ireland. And also like my coach at the time let me live in his spare room for free and stuff, so I could avoid the Dublin rent. So people were helping me out as well, but that's when I left my job. I quit being a door person, a bouncer, I don't know what else to call it. That's when I quit that. So I was working all the way up until I won Brown Belt Worlds. And I would...
Do you think that's the same now? Has the scene developed, I guess, where people can quit earlier or not really?
I mean, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends. Like, if your gym is, I always wanted to do things that were involved with jiu-jitsu. I think it depends where you are. Maybe in the US, it's probably quicker to be able to leave your job. It really depends where you are. If you're in like a smaller place, like I was in Wales, so we didn't really have many people able to train in the day, so I wasn't really able to train full time either because there weren't the people there. Like I trained as close to full time as I could, but not remotely professionally, and with like very little guidance, because you can't really foster that environment when there are people who have full time jobs and they're just like, I just want to come in and roll a dream, like just doing the best you can. But so
let's say hypothetically you train at, I don't know, not a big gym where there's people training full time, but your goal is to go full time. What would you say, like, what would you like give as a plan to go from like amateur to full time? Like, how do you get people to train, let's say, throughout the day? Or if you don't have people to train throughout the day, like, what can you do to supplement it?
I don't think you have to train a million times a day. Like, I do think that a lot of times people like spam a load of classes, but there's not much thought going into the sessions you're doing. So I think you can overtrain in a way, but also there's part of that you kind of need to overtrain in terms of like pushing yourself. But at the beginning, obviously, then you kind of learn how to adapt and train a bit smarter. But I don't think you have to train multiple times a day in order to achieve that high level. There's lots of people who have been able to do it without doing that. But I think it has to be quite well thought out, like study. I think outside of class time is really beneficial, like doing your own study, doing your own research, finding a style that you want to emulate. That's what I was doing. I mean, I'm not saying that my path was the ideal path. Definitely wasn't, Doreen. I would change lots of things if I could now, but it also, sometimes you've got to go the long route and then you can hopefully like tell people how to do it a bit shorter. But also just getting those challenging rounds. Not necessarily people who just bash you, but people you have very back and forth rounds with, and also asking questions a lot, like, and assessing what you're doing, like when you were filming his roles earlier, like that's a great way going back and like watching it and then having higher level people watch it. So even if it's once a week, once every 2 weeks or something, go to a perhaps like more high level gym, or where there's more people around your weight and size, or upper belts and things like that. You can go there and ask them questions. That's what I'd recommend anyway. But it's definitely ways you can do it if you really want to. But it's obviously harder. But don't take for granted that there are people who go to the top level. You can go to Atos and you can not be paying attention at all to what you're doing. And you can be like, well, I'm around these high level people, maybe it'll rub off on me, and I can train really hard, but you're not thinking about what you're doing. That's why I'm not like that big a fan of just an open mat. I'm not that big a fan of open mats, because that's what Gianna Grippo said this actually, and I was like, yes, it's that thing I wanted to say, but like I was like, maybe this is not. But I think open mats, you just go in there and you fight. I mean, that can be fun, don't get me wrong, they're enjoyable, but I don't think they're like the best thing in terms of improvement. But everyone just wants to skip and roll and not actually learn any technique or study or do positional, and that's like the meat of the training, I think, is probably positional sparring more than anything, but also your drills and your study and stuff like that. That was really long-winded.
No,
I'm so sorry.
This is so useful. What do you think? What did you study? Is it all Lachlan?
When I first started out, I used to put on, back in the day, YouTube highlight videos they were the main thing. And I used to watch Adolfo Vieira's highlight videos, and Leandro Lo and Lucas Lepri. Those were my trio of like guard passing, because I was big into guard passing. Islam, obviously. And I would just watch highlights. Like, I'm not one to really. I do watch instructionals now because I'm interested in what details people focus on when they're teaching. But it's more from a perspective of me wanting to then relay information to other people. So it's like me studying how to teach someone in an ideal way. And also what they're doing, but like I'm like, okay, that's interesting that he's highlighting this. I don't usually highlight that so much, or whatever. But when I was actually just studying for competition and to better my own training, I didn't really watch instructionals often. I mostly just watched actual matches. So I'd go and watch IBJJF matches, highlight videos, and there used to be brilliant highlight. I'm sure there are now as well, but the great highlight videos of the Adolfo Vieira, when I use as an example, because it was like the first piece is like his smash passing, so it's like him doing it over and over and over again in the tournament, and then seeing how he's doing it, and then the next one was his takedown with like the collar sleeve takedown, where he's like literally just like thumping them into the mat pretty much, and him doing it over and over and over again, and like seeing the pattern in what he's doing there. So just watching it, and eventually it starts to sink in, even if you don't really know what you're looking at yet. It's also good for like learning the rules. That's an underrated skill, is like understanding the rule set of the tournament that you're going into. People like to complain about it after, but they usually go in with like actually no idea of what the rules are. So like that's also like an underrated skill, I think.
And just gonna plug it in there, you've got your own instructionals too, which is really
cool.
cool.
Buy them. But I do have my own like site and stuff, and
what's different about it? What sets it apart? Other than you.
The expert at kneecap passes.
I think one is like I am a lady, and there's not many instructionals by women at the moment. I mean, not as many as the men. Is obviously much more saturated in the men's, but I do think having that perspective of being smaller, of being in a male-dominated environment, and having to adjust your technique for that, I do think I go into a lot of detail. And also there's like lots of things on. There's community section. There's my rolling. I like to put my sparring up, and I thought that was very important. Even like there's lots of rounds where I'm not winning. There's one with me rolling with Roger and I'm getting killed, obviously. Anyone who thought that would go any other way is crazy. But it's like I put on those rounds because I think it's important for other women to see, because they have this perception I should be winning every round. If I'm a blue belt, I should be beating all these other white belt men or whatever it is. It's like that's just not the reality of it. Like just because maybe you're not necessarily dominating every round doesn't mean that the skill and the knowledge isn't there. So I was like, look, these are my rounds. This is honestly how it's going. I don't win every single one. I get scored on and tapped to plenty. It's not all just me getting tapped, but like, just so that people can see it and have a better, expectation on themselves. I think it's important for other girls to see that and be like, okay, well, she's not winning every round, so maybe I can take that pressure off myself a little bit, or this expectation off myself. And then, there's like what's happening in the classes. So 3 videos a week go up, and it's just what I'm teaching here. So if it's too expensive, you can just get it. So it's like 24. It's 24 quid a month. For me, it's not that bad. But yeah. So.
When did you think you're talking like about other women and kind of the expectations they have on themselves. When did that like click with you of like the expectation you put on yourself? Was that like later in your journey, or like quite early on you knew where you should be?
No, I was very confused in the beginning. I was like, shouldn't I be better than this? And also it's just rolling with mostly lads, so it's really hard to get an idea of how well you should be doing. I was so hard on myself. Whereas nowadays I'm a lot more like maybe it came from winning certain tournaments, which is sad, and I don't want that to be the case for people, that you have to win certain things to be able to have confidence in yourself. But unfortunately I needed evidence. I think confidence comes from having evidence, and also like, you know, working hard for a goal as well, and then like kind of gives you the self-belief. But yeah, I think just kind of time, unfortunately, you know, talking to other people and competing more, and then that's where I'd actually see my level. And now I've got lots of girls to train with, because yeah, so now it's much easier to, but at the start I didn't have anyone to train with, so it was just like, I don't know if I'm good or not. Like, I don't know if I'm improving at the right pace, or
Is it competitions? Let's say you're in a gym where there's not that many women your weight or your level, or even just women in general. Would you say it's like going out and competing that actually gives you the real gauge of where you actually are?
Yeah, I mean, competing is the most honest thing you can do. That's why a lot of people don't like doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Which is understandable. It's terrifying to be confronted with the reality of your ability. But also competing is a skill. So I will say that it doesn't necessarily always reflect exactly where you're at, because I think that managing your nerves is, you know, your self-talk, like how you treat yourself in that regard. You know, a lot of people are very hard on themselves, and I think that can definitely affect your performance. All that aside, though, it is the most honest reflection of where you are in terms of skills. So a lot of people don't want to meet that. I don't like it. I don't like meeting that. I don't like being told that basically I get tapped with something or caught with something. I'm like, well, yeah, that's a big hole in my game, and that's something I need to work on. But it's also the best thing in terms of actually improving. You get your answers straight away. So you can either not watch that video back and deny it and move on, or you can watch it, or have someone else watch it for you if you really don't want to watch it, and then you can address it. But like, I think that also takes the emotion out of it for me, is that now it's kind of like, it's just your jiu-jitsu skill. Like, it's not anything to do with you as personally as a person. It's like, it's not, it's like, oh, they hate me now because they tap me. Like, that's not how that works. There's no beef. It's just literally, this is where I'm at, and now we adjust and we improve. And I think that gives you a lot of power back, because you've got the power to change whatever went wrong. Or maybe it was your cardio, you gassed. So it's like, okay, well now I know in my rounds in training, I do every single round of my training. I take shorter breaks, start the round earlier, whatever it is, and then you have that confidence then going in. And so.
I know, like, we individually like have our own like personal way of like how we prep for competitions, like mentally and physically, and but like, what advice would you give like generally to like competitors out there that, you know, feel quite overwhelmed, and like how to like mentally prepare for a competition? Like, what advice would you give?
I would say a lot of people try and push, whenever they get that sort of wave of nerves, they try and push it out of their head. I hear that a lot. I hear that off of other athletes. Maybe that works for them. I personally like to feel it because you get used to it. It's practice.
Yeah.
So as soon as it comes over me, I like, you know, try and like kind of remove, if I'm in the middle of something like driving. But I like trying to like, okay, let's take a moment and like imagine being at the tournament. Imagine the sounds. If you're not used to the sounds, you can watch any IBJJF match and you'll get those noises, and it's like, it triggers me now. I'm like, literally I get a heart attack when I hear it. I'm like, ooh. And like, you know, on the tannoy, I'm like, oh god. But yeah, like, so I'll sit in it and I'll feel it, and then it passes, and you're like, okay, I'm not descending into panic. That's how it's gonna feel. So when you're there in the moment, you're like, I know this is really normal to feel this way. I know that everyone else is feeling this way. If they don't feel this way, that's kind of worrying for them, because you can be so nervous that you kind of don't feel nervous. That's like, you're kind of like disassociating. That's just that you're that nervous. Or maybe you are just a very chill person. I don't know. Good for you. But yeah, having that awareness that everyone's feeling it in their own way, but it's normal. It's part of it. And just accepting that you're going to feel that way is really important as well, I think. And then it kind of gives you that power back. So yeah, I'd embrace it. And also I do a lot of like, it's kind of embarrassing, but I listen to music and I kind of visualize like a highlight reel in my head of the things I'm going to do. And then also overcoming anything that goes wrong. It's like, yeah, okay, this might go wrong, and that's okay. And I kind of like letting go of control. because one thing I don't like to do is have any like superstitions or attachments to certain things. Like I have to wear this certain sports bra because then it's like, what if I lose that sports bra or whatever it is? Why did you choose a bra for that example? But I don't want to like have anything like that I have to hold on to because it gets into your head. So it's more so just like it's letting it like the wave go over you and then just moving on. Whatever.
Real talk, I have to ask, do you ever watch highlight reels of yourself?
Sick.
Check me out.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And they're like,
That's so cool.
ooh, and then I see a comment and I'm like, oh, delete. No, I have. I don't do it all the time, but I have. I saw it and I was like, oh my god, I felt really cool. And then I saw some of the videos and I was like, that wasn't very good. And then I have seen them, but thanks to the people who make those, by the way. Make more.
That's so funny. That's so cool. Do you think there's more pressure because like you are who you are, I guess? Like if you lose, it's being seen by so many more people. Or do you think that causes more pressure for you to?
I did feel a lot of pressure. You know what? My first year at black belt, I don't know what was going on, but I was getting a bit of a hype train. Within reason, obviously. When people were like, it wasn't that much. I was like, it was for me. Like it went from 0 to like a lot of people paying attention. And I guess it was because I was just like random European athlete doing well, and also like I had no hype before black belt. So like I'd won a few things, but I wasn't consistent. But that first year I started like I won Europeans, and then I won Nogi Worlds in the Europeans, Pans, and then Brasileiros, and it was becoming like, oh, she's going to Grand Slam her first year. So if someone doesn't know, that's when you win all the major tournaments. And then it was coming to Worlds, and I absolutely tanked it at Worlds. I lost to people I'd beaten previously in the run-up, which is, it's no guarantee. And I always think that Worlds is like, it's that day. It doesn't matter who is the best. It's like someone has their day, and you can, it's just like who's going to come up on top. And it's so many things come into it. But it's like the Grand Slam curse. It's happened to so many people I know as well. They get to that last bit and they just like can it pretty much, and that happened to me. And then after that I was like, I have to just like, I can't want all these things. I can't want the certain sponsors and certain, I guess, payment via that, or I can't want the attention, and I can't want people to want to watch me to fight and not also embrace the pressure of that, because that's what comes with that. So it's like accepting that if I want a big crowd to come and watch me fight, I can't be like, oh no, there's a crowd watching me fight. It doesn't make sense. So I just have to, it's like I did like a lot of like correcting my thoughts, which definitely came more so later on, like in the last 2 years more so than in those first few years. Obviously it was still, this is like a much more fast forward thing, but it was just like whenever I was sort of, when a negative thought would come in, like learning to correct it straight away. And like that came from when I went to Essential and I started training with JT. And it was like not even like a conscious thing I started doing. It was just because he was basically correcting me. So I'd come in for ADCC camp, me and my friend Sam as well, who also did the camp with me. And we came in and very like, he's Irish and I'm British, but like there's a lot of like shame in believing in yourself. And it's embarrassing to be confident. It's embarrassing to think you're gonna win or to whatever. So like we come in and JT's like, good morning, and he's like so fucking enthusiastic. I'm like, oh my god, this chap is always happy. Why is he always happy? And then he comes, he's like, how are you feeling today, guys? I was like, oh, I'm okay. And he's like, no, you're feeling great. And I was looking at Sam and I was like, what is wrong with him? I was like, okay. And then like I was like, and he was like, how are you feeling today? And I was like, I'm feeling great. And he's like, yeah. And then like you just do that in training as well, like correct you. And whenever I get like these like spirals, like he could see it and he'd just step in like this roll, and then it's just like would interrupt it, and then it started becoming this thing like he's like correcting himself, I guess, when he's training, but then also the room, to motivate the room. And when you're running the room, you have to be that positive light in the room. If you are negative, if you are talking down on yourself or others, it spreads like wildfire and everyone becomes pessimistic and everyone becomes low, and then the whole vibe drops. But he would always keep the vibe so high. That was really inspiring to see. And then it started getting me in this habit of correcting myself, like, no, I'm gonna win, I believe in myself, like I worked really hard. So whenever something negative comes out, no, I deserve to win. Like I spent all this time and this investment in myself, like I'm gonna put my best foot forward. That doesn't mean I'm going to. I'm not like I'm gonna win no matter what. It's like no, I believe I can.
Yeah.
And if I don't this time, I will next time.
Just reframing the mindset. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a practice. And a lot of people are like, I just can't get out of it. It's like, well, lie to yourself. It's just delusion. You just keep telling yourself, even if it's not true, and you're kind of like in your gut, you're like, I don't believe that, but you just keep training your brain to think that way, and then eventually you decided to believe it, and now I'm fully delusional.
Do you think that does it make a big difference? I remember when I went to like Euros, I'm rubbish, so like I don't know why I'm talking from experience or whatever.
See, look, he's doing this right.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to reframe the mindset.
I was having like conversations with some of my teammates. I was like, I'm not going to win. I'm terrible. I'm just coming here for the good time. And they're like, no, you must reframe. And I was like, you're delusional. Like, I know I won't win. Why would I? Like, why would I even think that way? But do you actually think having that delusion, even if at the beginning it is like quite literally a delusion, you think that's like a big part of being good? Like, do you think that matters?
I think it matters in the sense that you can't like not do the training and then be like, I'm going to win. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. I think that if you do all this work and you've prepared for it, it's like you need to have evidence with the delusion.
Okay.
So it's more so like if you're like, I'm going to this competition and I just want to have a laugh, and that's absolutely fine. That's like not really what, like, that's okay. That's a different thing, and that's just like enjoying yourself. But as a professional athlete, I don't think you can go in and think you're gonna lose. And for me, it's like I kept having these inconsistencies in my matches where sometimes I'd have a great performance and then I wouldn't, and then it's like I looked like dog shit the next, and it's like how. You know, and people were like, how did you get absolutely smashed by this person? And she was like beating this person, and it made, you know, and it was very much like me putting people on a pedestal, and everyone deserves respect, but like there's also this thing of like, but I did this super hard training camp, like, and I literally talked myself out of being brave enough to want to win. Do you know what I mean? It's like you didn't want, like, you weren't brave enough to want to win, and that's really sad. And it's like it's like being that fear of like, well, what if I give 100%? And I fully believe in myself, and then I fail. Like, I've had that. I had that ADCC 2019. Like, I fully believed I was going to win, and I lost in the final. And I was, like, devastated. But it's like, okay, well, then you move forward. And it's like, you can't let that end your world. You just have to be like, that's okay, and you move on from it. But it's, like, heartbreaking. It's, like, kind of like being in a relationship, and you're so in love, and you let yourself fully relax, and you feel so safe, and then they dump you via text randomly, and you're like, what? But I was so invested in this, and like I was like, no. It's like kind of like that, and then people get more protective of their heart, I guess. But and that's understandable to manage expectations in a way. If you're like, you know what, I didn't have the best training for this for whatever reason, X, Y, Z. But you know, you can manage it in that way and be realistic with yourself. But I do think that if you put in all that hard work, it's okay to go, I deserve to get a certain result out of this, whether that's winning or just having the best performance ever. That doesn't always have to reflect in terms of like the result. It can just be that you walk away from that being like, I gave my all and I had a great performance because I gave my all. And sometimes you're your very best and you go out and you get flying triangled immediately. But that's also part of it. It's really, it's not predictable like that. And like, there's no jiu-jitsu math that actually makes much sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For like moving to the women's scene, what do you think could like change in the women's scene to like make it better? Such a big question, but let's just start big and then we'll hone in.
I like what we were talking about earlier in terms of like building stories for the athletes.
Yeah.
There was the, you know, in ADCC they had all this coverage for the male athletes in terms of their divisions. You got to know them, you become invested. And I know a lot about the male athlete. Well, I know a lot about the women now too, obviously, because I made that conscious effort. But in terms of like the consumers, like if you don't know information about a certain person, it's kind of hard to be invested. At least that's how I feel. I know some people don't particularly care, they just want to watch good matches, and that's great. But I think there is that, like, having that background. What is the rivalry between these two? What is the situation here? Like, how many times have they fought before? What's this person's story? Where's she come from? All of that gives you that investment into the match more so. So I think particularly on shows where it's, you know, I'll happily sit and watch a tournament, but that's not everyone's buzz. Do you know? Like, I'll sit in the ground like, watch every match and not care who it is. I just love watching jiu-jitsu. But some people aren't into that. They need like a storyline, right? That's so I think giving people that, and that's what we don't really get that for the women. We don't get that same coverage, at least not from the main sources. You can have these other people doing it. I think it's Crayon Media. I hope that's his name.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah,
I
I don't
really
know.
hope that's his name. I think it's Crayon Media. could be Crayonch. How the hell do I say it? But he does loads of coverage on the women, but that's one person, and he doesn't have the same broad audience as like people like Flo, and that's, you know, the ADCC thing, the lead up. That's Flo didn't have that for the girls, so it's kind of like they get left behind in that sense, where the level is there, but yeah, and then how can you expect the sport to grow when you at every single point it's like they're giving all these hurdles to women? So why would they want to then invest themselves into trying to become a professional athlete? So it's like, yeah, the numbers then will remain stunted because it's not the same. It's not, you don't have that same ability to make money. You don't have that same, and that's not in a sense of like being greedy with money. Like I've been accused plenty of times of being greedy for money, but it's like I just want to be able to fund training.
Yeah.
I want to fund being able to train. I want to fund my rent. I want to be able to pay my rent and you know, perform as a professional athlete while having to work a part-time job alongside it, which is the case for a lot of women athletes. Whether it's like in a different industry or they're teaching all day. Dream. Like I love teaching, and that's what I'm shuffling into now and transitioning over to. But when I'm in my peak athlete days, I shouldn't have to be, well, not shouldn't have to be, it's like the reality for a lot of people and male athletes too. But it would be nice if I could invest my weekends in resting for my training week rather than I'm spending it teaching 2 or 3 seminars to make ends meet. So that's a reality for a lot of people, not just women, but also the lads too. So it's, yeah, I think the sport is growing and it's great to see, but that is the reality for most people at the moment. Yeah.
So, you know, when you did CGI 1, I feel like I remember Craig Jones saying he would give the numbers of like the viewership. Did you know what your viewership was comparatively to other people? Because I'm assuming it would have been really high.
No, I can only see on the YouTube. I don't think that's like always the best reflection, but
Okay.
it was good. And I've been told before, I don't want to say who it was by another show, that mine was in the top viewers. So it's just proof there is that there, because that is the rebuke that people come up with, like, well, the girls will get the same views. It's like, that's not true. That isn't true at all. Like, if you actually look at the views on a lot of the matches, and not just mine obviously, but other female athletes, they are high. And that's without all this. Like, I've been actually really lucky that I've gotten a lot of coverage. But I also funded my own coverage. I paid for YouTube vlogs all out of my own pocket.
Is that your channel, your YouTube channel?
Yeah.
But you were big way before that.
Yeah.
So why do you think?
But,
Well,
but like that was me putting all investment into myself. It's like, well, if I'm not going to get given vlogs, I'll do it myself. So.
Which I think is like, we were talking to Ali, I think, about this, and I think there's like an obvious need for athletes to, you know, grow their own brand, and obviously that's important, but you know, it shouldn't just be down to them. There should be like the organizations that do it too. But it's interesting, like clearly it works. Clearly it's worked with you. So it's like, why is it not happening more with like other female athletes? What do you think there is a barrier? Like, what do you think the barrier is, if there is one? Or do you think it's just sexism?
I think the people who are, I don't think it's like an active thing where someone's like, I hate women, therefore I'm not doing this. I don't think it is for most people that. It's a subconscious thing of this person, these people, this group of people, men, are just here in their mind, and women are secondary. They're lower to them, subconsciously, whether they... I have internalized misogyny too. People are going to hate this. It's my favourite topic. But I have it too, and I do it too sometimes. Like, the default becomes men. And you have to correct that, like, because that's obviously wrong. It's discrimination, right? Like, to not have equal coverage of male and female is discrimination, but we don't like to call it that. Like, sexism is cool, but discrimination is not cool. So, like, reframing it, that's what actually is happening. And also, it's a subconscious thing. I don't think people are like, I hate women. It's just happening without them even realizing it. And having the organizers of these things are all men, they're not going to think about those perspectives, because it doesn't matter to them. Why would they care? They have no investment in it. Until they have a daughter and they go, my daughter though. And you're like, oh my God, why does it require you to have a child, a female child, if you didn't consider us human? Or like a girlfriend? Dream, it's just, but like whatever. So I think it's just that, to be honest. I don't think it's like an active thing. I think it's just, they don't give a shit. Why would you? Why would you change something that serves you?
Yeah. So like you're saying that like the guys are kind of already bigger now because of the system, and then it would take an investment really into women to kind of grow them, and so it's just easier to ignore ignore and not change it.
Think of a promoter, their standpoint, they're like, oh, I could take this risk
Mm,
and make a loss, because you will make a loss at first, because
definitely.
we've been telling everyone for years that women are less important and aren't worth watching. By wherever, that's not like directly saying it, but with our actions, right? We've been telling people that, so that's how it's going to be. It's just going to take time to build, right? That's like, think of the numbers in the sport. Like when I was young, I was told, don't do full push-ups because it will give you breast cancer. I was told that by a coach.
It's
Crazy. I was told when I was doing judo, that throw isn't for you. That's not for women. And he just walked off. I was like, cool. So obviously, I was kicked out of the rugby team because they were like, "You've got tits now. You can't play rugby anymore." And there was no women's team to go into. Like the boxing gym I went to, they were like, "We don't take girls." Full stop. They still don't to this day. Shout out to them in Swansea. But yeah, it's like all these things like telling girls to not do combat sports, to not do these male-dominated sports. So then these women are starting later in life. Now we're seeing that crop of young girls coming through, like the Sarah Galvaos, the Helena's Dream. We see that crop coming through, the elite level of these women coming through. But like, they're currently anomalies because the girls who, like, there's not that many girls who start at that young age. Now they are, but that's gonna, how long is that gonna take? Another 10 years, 15 years for that crop of girls to start coming through? Because the messaging before it, when I was young, I'm 30 now. When I was young was to not do that sport. I stuck it out regardless. I know it was a different sport, but I stuck it out regardless. But I was the only girl for the most part, and those other girls ended up leaving because why would you stay in something where people are telling you constantly to not be there? Like, we don't want you here, and I'm like, but I like it. Do you mean, like, most people would leave that environment, and now the environment is different, but it's going to take years and years for you to get the benefits of that. So of course the numbers are going to be smaller. And it's going to be that way for a while, but now it's going to start to grow. And of course, the level isn't going to be, you know, across the range the same, right? Because these girls are starting later in life. Like I started at 19, that's really late to start become a professional athlete. Like in any other sport, it probably wouldn't happen, and it'll stop happening, and that's a good thing. Like that's a positive thing. Like I won't be able to remain in these divisions with these girls because the level is getting so much higher, and I'm really happy about that. Like that's a good thing, and I'm very happy to be like, cool, I was part of this, that's exciting. Maybe it was like, maybe I got some people into the sport, and that's really cool, but that's not, I'm not, that my place isn't going to be the best, and that's okay. But like hopefully I got some girls into it by like, I don't know, hanging out. Sorry.
No, that's
ramble.
But you were the best, you know what I mean? So it's like you
for
are
a really tiny piece of time.
for a fairly long piece of time.
Yeah. But yeah, it's cool to be like, I want it, and then you're like, okay, now I'm probably not going to do that again. But no, I'm happy to hang out for a little bit longer.
Have you seen, like, I guess like the kids like coming up? Have you seen like the level difference? Is it pretty? I'm guessing it's got to be astronomical then. If you started at 19 and then just like
oh, of course. Like, I looked back at my first year of black belts and the matches. I was like, what? Honestly, I looked at it. I was like, I want to give myself a black belt. Just like I was scrappy and aggressive, and that goes a long way at that time. But the way it's developed now is insane. Like the technique is so amazing, and I think I've leveled up a lot in that time as well. But it's just so different to be that young and so good is so inspiring. Like it's crazy, and that's only a good thing. Dream. So
definitely. We were actually talking about not being given a black belt, but just like people being held at belts now, and how like the level's so different at different gyms for the belts. And I'd say even more so with women, where like the London scene seems quite a lot higher than the rest of the UK with the women. Like when you compete in, I guess as a guy, when you compete like in London and not in London, there's a bit of a difference, but you can't really tell. But I think like, you know, Michael was saying, in London the scene's quite a lot higher. And then I guess when we went to like the B team, obviously it's the B team, but we went to the B team and you kind of see like the purple belts. You're like, you're not a purple belt, you know what I mean? Like you're a black belt in any other gym. Sorry.
No.
Do you think it's it almost feels like people are being intentionally held back, but it's like raising the bar. And do you think that's like a good thing, or do you agree that that's the case, or?
I mean, it depends if it's gi or no gi. I mean, I think no gi people just don't tend to promote because there's no belt, and so they're just kind of, it's different. Like they're technically, I guess, technically a purple belt, but like they're not. So I don't know about holding back with belts. And I think everyone's got a different criteria. So I would say like it's very different to someone who's like, I don't expect a black belt who does it as a hobby to be the same level as an elite professional athlete. So I don't think that cross comparison is fair. Just because it's like they're not meant to be fighting amongst those people. Like it's not. I mean, if you were to compete, then yes, but like they're not supposed to be comparable because like it's a completely different circumstance. Like one person can train all day and trains all day, or coaches and is a professional athlete and is around it all day, and the other comes in 3 times a week, but they've been training for 12 years. And they have a lot of knowledge and they have the ability, but they're just not going to have that same athleticism as a professional athlete. So I think it's not really fair to compare in that sense. I don't know about the level difference being different in London versus elsewhere. But maybe it's just because there's more, like just higher numbers of people. So maybe that's why that's happening. But yeah, I really just think it depends. And I remember, it's like I remember people coming from judo. This was like a thing. People would come from judo and they'd be like, oh, I just beat up that like elderly black belt guy and I just started. It's like, yeah, you have been training full time as a judoka for like 15 years. You're 20, train. You're basically like a professional athlete. And then, you've just milled this old chap who's a black belt with 3 kids and trains twice a week. So it's like, is that a flex? No. It's just a different thing. One person's training for Olympics and the other person's having a laugh. Dream's like, that's not like,
it's not the same.
It's just not the same, and that's good. Like that's what I love about the sport is that so many different people can do it. But yeah.
Do you care about, because you've given your first stripe recently, I think I saw on your, very cool. Do you care about belts? Like, and do you have a criteria in your head for how you promote the difference, I guess, like a hobbyist, maybe a competitor and like an international competitor? Or
I for myself don't give a shit about belts. My view for belts was always like I got promoted to black belt quite quickly because it was like, let's just throw you in with the high level people as soon as possible. Mostly because I didn't have anyone around me to train with that I could actually get a reflection, and it was just like beneficial for me to fight the female black belts as soon as possible. So it was kind of, I think that was more so the mindset in me getting my black belt as opposed to me being like really ready for it. Obviously I was ready for it because I did win tournaments at that time, but like it was just more like I need to fight these people to feel it and basically practice competing against them. But in terms of like to other people it does matter, and I'm also aware, like just because it's something that like I'm like kind of like whatever dream doesn't mean I'm proud of it. I'm proud of my achievements in that regard. And I'm more proud of the time and the hard work I've put in to achieving a certain milestone like that than I am of any result I've got in competition. Like, I'm proud of the time I spent. I'm proud of the training camps I've done, and I'm proud of the mat time that I've spent. And I also think that the people who've come in and they spend their evenings that they could be sitting in front of the TV, they come in and they spend it with us, and they're working hard and they're putting that effort in, and it deserves to be rewarded. Like, I know people will like make fun of giving a belt or like stripes and stuff, and whatever, if it's not important to you, that's fine, but like I can see how proud someone feels to have their hard work recognized, and that's what matters to me, is that they feel recognized and they feel encouraged. And I'm not gonna just like throw a belt at someone just because they turned up, but it's like, it's not just that, it's like this person's worked really hard, but also they have all this knowledge, and I want to recognize that I see them, if that makes sense.
yeah, totally. Is there like so there's no universal criteria for you between people, it's like a completely individual journey, you think?
I think it's individual. I mean, I am kind of in the belief that not everyone should get a black belt if they have zero knowledge and ability. Even the people who can perform really high level but like don't have the knowledge, and I would still be like, I want to wait until. But it really depends. If someone's trying to be a professional athlete, it's a different thing. Like, I would probably have a conversation with them and be like, hey, like this tournament, do you want to do this tournament at this belt? Just because like, it just depends what that, it'd be a conversation. But because it's different. It's more strategic in terms of like, well, we don't really want to promote you before this because I know you want to win this tournament before you get your next belt. But it's more of an ongoing conversation. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a conversation. I think it's much better rather than the person feeling like, oh my God, they asked about it and now they're being punished silently and passive aggressively for the next 2 years. That's really weird to me, and it becomes that weird controlling coaching environment I don't like. But if it's someone who trains a few times a week, I think it's like, that's like a surprise then. It's different, right? But I happily have someone come and ask me like, hey, what do you think I need to do that would like meet your criteria, right? But like for me, it's like above everything else, it's knowledge, you know, an awareness and understanding of what they're doing, and then the performance comes along with it as well. And then, you know, maybe competitions depending on timing and things like that. But yeah.
Do you think accolades change much of like the trajectory of your career? I guess obviously some do, but like, did things massively change for you once you won Euro black belt Euros?
No, I can't remember. It's really hard to remember which ones were like the big turnover. I think ADCC 2019 ADCC was the biggest impact. Like I remember like looking at my phone and being like, oh my God, I have a lot of followers there. I always felt like it during at the time. I was like, what's happening? But like before that, it was like steadily growing and it wasn't overwhelming. But after ADCC was when I was like, oh, this is like different. And then I remember like having a conversation with my sponsors, and that I was like, it changed things in terms of like, I don't have to get a seminar every 2 seconds to pay rent during, like it was like that changed things too. And it was like, so yeah, I'd say like there are certain, you know, wherever I get caught on camera, and that's what's unfortunate. There's a lot of athletes who don't get that coverage. I think Andrew have to do quite a good job of like kind of just like posting whatever, like what relatively fairly-ish. Whereas sometimes Flo, it's like who you mates with. Sorry, I don't want to keep shitting on Flo because they come up with a lot of positive things too. So it's not like an attack on them. I guess the most obvious person to bring up. So I remember like kind of conscious about that. And not everyone can get things right all the time. It's also just my opinion, so who cares? But you know, kind of can be just like they know you because of, you know, they're mates with someone, and then yeah, and it makes sense. Like you can't know everything about everyone all the time. But yeah, it's kind of, well, sometimes I'm like they've left someone's tag out of it and stuff, and I'm like that video could have really changed a lot of things. They could have gotten them a lot of hype through, and I'm like, please make the effort to tag them just because you don't know what gym they're from, or like you just research it, look on the scoreboard or something, I don't know. So yeah, I think stuff like that was like made the biggest impact, to be honest. Yeah. Like the Arma moment and shit. So
Very interesting. Don't want to take too much more of your time, but now we're going to be fairly selfish and ask warehouse related questions. So we can learn from all your experience. But so a few things. One, we're obviously trying to sponsor as many people as possible. We started this brand like really with the idea of just helping first kind of the local people in our gym, but then trying to do something in the community. Both have jobs, so it's like not been, you know, important to us to make money from this. So we're trying to help as many people as possible. But more recently, we've been thinking about trying to pay people and kind of give them a clear-cut path to, I guess, earning money from sponsorships, because maybe it kind of feels a bit hidden from other sponsorships. As like, when are you going to start making money? Something we've found, I guess, difficult is kind of the different kind of models of, let's say, athletes. You've got like people who, I'm just going to name people out, like Caveman Bobby Lane, those kind of guys who have like a whole social media presence behind them, but they're maybe like blue belts. Who are doing great things, winning Basilios and whatnot. And then you've got like purple belts who are winning stuff, but don't post anything whatsoever. And we want to support everyone. How do more established brands, do you think, how do you think they go about like getting people paid as quickly as possible? Because obviously, you know, they can't just lose money paying for everybody. But yeah, what's the priority, do you think? Is it make sure they win competitions, or is it to grow the...
I'm not a brand owner, so I struggle to answer it. I'm going to have such a biased perspective, but I'll do my best to answer.
Yeah.
Because I understand, I for sure understand the question. I mean, I'm going to be rebiased. Results come first.
Results come first.
Look at those top, who's winning these top things. Then I would say, if you devise a contract with them, I would say like, you're going to have to start posting, mate.
Yeah.
Your deliverables. In terms of what I get, it's like I have a certain amount of deliverables if I'm doing a sponsored post or whatever it is with people. Kind of like if you're an athlete, you're going to be an influencer, and that is the thing. Is like you're saying, like for brands, they need to be able to. It's unfortunate, but it is. These people need to post if they want the sponsorship. It means they're not interested, and that's all right. But you need to also be able to show the brand. So, and these people would probably start to garner a good following if they actually posted, because if they're getting the results, it's quite. Someone's going to go, oh wow, that person's winning all these things, so I'm going to invest that time in them. So there is onus on the athlete for sure to be posting. So what I would do is put, have that as the number one thing as results. Then, someone who's like, kind of just like promoting jiu-jitsu in general, that's also great. It doesn't have to be someone who's winning tournaments all the time, but they can just be like kind of, they post a lot and they have a good following for other reasons, maybe not necessarily always of results, more like a jiu-jitsu influencer kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah.
And then for those athletes who are not posting enough, just be like, these are the deliverables in order for you to get paid. So you're doing a job to get paid, and that job is very easy to post online. It feels embarrassing, but is that really hard? I'd rather do that than do my pub shift.
Yeah.
So it's a very fair ask of the brand, and that's the least thing. So.
I feel like there are like some jiu-jitsu athletes that are obviously amazing. They want to be like there, but there might be some people that are like scared to actually put themselves out there. And like you said, like especially for female athletes, not a lot of these organizations are putting limelight on them, so it's the onus on them to put themselves out there. It's like, how would you encourage someone to like, hey, like, yeah, you have to stick a camera up there, like you have to like show yourself, post yourself, like what's like how would you encourage them to like go from being a jiu-jitsu athlete and also being like in the social media like presence?
Yeah, it's a huge part of it, and I hate that it's a huge part of it, by the way, but I also love to yap. So I love posting, but then I forget people see it. But like it's a huge part of it, and you kind of have to. It's grow up. But like it's like the alternative is you work a part-time job, or maybe I don't know, maybe your parents are rich. I wish. Damn them. But like maybe that's not your concern. But like if you want to make money off sponsorships, you can't just be like, give me money and then give nothing in return. Like that just, it's not fair to ask a brand to do that. We have to have a reason to invest in someone. But yeah, it's like, I guess like taking that pressure away of like you have to hit these certain numbers, but more so like hit numbers in terms of posting rather than how many people like it and stuff could be maybe helpful to relieve that pressure. I would say that to me it's like, I think people, they get embarrassed to post, but I'm like, to be cringe is to be free. I don't care. Like the way I'm like, I'm posting, and I'm sure there's I know, they tell me, that a lot of people find me very cringy and insufferable, but I'm like, but I get to make money out of this sport that I wouldn't otherwise get to do. If I wasn't posting, I don't think Progress would want to sponsor me. That's very fair enough. Yeah. They probably would be like, we want to sponsor you, but you need to post. It would be like that, and that is fair. And they also give back too. They film me, they give me footage, they give me images to use. So it's, a lot of these people are kind of giving you stuff that you can easily post. It's unfortunate, but like as athletes, you are also, and I mean, think of Alona Maya. I hope I'm saying her name right. She's in the rugby scene. She's the most followed rugby player, male or female, and she's got all these fantastic sponsorships because she was posting on TikTok and generating a following on TikTok. And it's like someone could have looked at it and I'm like, oh God, it's so embarrassing she's doing that. But like now she's where she is. Like she's being highlighted for the skills she already had and the ability that she already had. It's being highlighted because she's giving back to these brands and giving them a reason to want to support her, rather than just going, give me this, but then there's nothing in return. So you kind of have to like put yourself out there quite a bit, but it is worthwhile, and people want to invest in you. You just have to give them the content to invest in, and it can be embarrassing. But at the end of the day, anyone who thinks it's embarrassing are usually just too scared to post themselves or to put themselves out with themselves in whatever way that is. So I'm not asked what they think. I'm like, whatever, I get to just roll on the floor all day. And you're in the office, which is fine. It's okay.
And just to follow up on that, like, obviously, we want, from sponsorships, you want money, but is there like any other criteria that like you should look out for when you've got like, multiple sponsorships like offering you, like, is there like something particularly that you like want from like an organization? Not just the money, but like other things that
I want the brand to align with people that aren't raping people. I don't know. I really like. I have worked with brands before. I was like, oh yeah, and then I don't work with them anymore.
It's crazy.
Like you're more like,
The bar's so low.
I'm not proud. It's, you know, it's, you're like, oh, but I'm not working with them anymore. Anyway, that was ideal, but unfortunately it was really hard for a lot of them, especially in the jiu-jitsu scene. But you get a lot of stuff just brushed under the rug. But yeah, what else do I look for? I like the lads working on Progress, but like the lads from Progress, like they're my friends too. Like we have a good relationship with them, and I think that fosters things. We're having a good relationship with the brand, and that is important as well, because then you feel like they're invested in you. That it's not just like a transactional thing where give me money and it's like very cold. I do have a manager now, just because I felt uncomfortable asking for certain things. I still talk directly to Progress because we have that friendship, but for like my matches and stuff like that on super fights and things, like I have Sami, he's my manager, and he organises all that now, because you know, people would always lowball me in terms of that. So I have someone else managing that, and you do lose that like personal touch with that, but at the same time it's kind of like, you know, it's maybe a little bit better in certain ways. But yeah, it's a brand that aligns with my beliefs, and something that I think is, sometimes it's not that deep. It's like, oh, this is kind of just cool, and then
absolutely,
but mostly, yeah.
And not to put you on the spot, but like, what do you think about exclusivity contracts with athletes? Because so we're hosting obviously this 5K like tournament, and we had a bunch of women that like are obviously amazing at the sport and couldn't participate because obviously they're tied down with another organisation.
Already at blue and purple belt level, which is what shocked us, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just a blue purple belt comp, right? So we didn't expect that whatsoever. But yeah, there's a few people who were like, put the name in the hat, and then they were like, oh, actually we have to pull out. And they probably would have won it. I mean, let's be honest, they were probably the best people who are signing up. But and as well, the exclusivity is, for like in this particular case, like at blue and purple, you're not getting paid that much. So
yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know they were doing that. I mean, I can only talk from my personal standpoint. I obviously signed a contract with UFC, but I'm allowed to do certain tournaments. So I'm allowed to do Worlds. I did Masters Worlds. I have a match with Polaris coming up in November. It's not been announced yet. I was allowed to do CGI, I just wasn't invited. So I was like, whatever. And I'm allowed to do ADCC, so there's lots of tournaments I'm allowed to do. They just have an ask of not doing it a certain time frame before it, so that if you get injured, obviously, it's a nightmare. So there's things like that, and I don't know what other people are signing. It's none of my business what's in their contract, but that's the contract I signed, and that's what I negotiated, or I had my manager negotiate. So what other people are doing is none of my business. And that's up to them to disclose if they want to.
Yeah.
For me, in my position I'm in, I have spent my whole career getting severely underpaid, probably, and asked to do things for free a lot, and which is, you know, at the early stages it's grand, but then it got to a point where I was like, hey, I know that these male athletes who have, you know, less accolades, that's one, but they also have way less followers on social media, which is, I'm being told, is the numbers are what matter and the following is what matter, but I'm like, but I have more than him. So what is it really about? Is it just you know you can kind of get away with me? Not necessarily because of my gender, it's maybe just because, probably is that, but also because, you know, I'm a bit more of a pushover, but whatever it is, you know, I don't have someone to manage that, so they kind of know they can get away with it. And then I got to a position where I'm like, at the time, CGI wasn't having a women's division. I was told not happening, and I was like, okay, cool, there's no women's division. I have this match on UFC, and then they had beef and whatever was going on there. I was like, okay, I'm not part of this, but sure. And then, yeah, so I'm being offered this fantastic contract where I'm getting paid a lot of money, where I don't have to do seminars, I can just have a couple of fights a year and be comfortable and train as an athlete. That's what's being presented to me, and so I then accept it. And I'm like, cool, I can do these tournaments, that are all the ones I would do anyway. I would do GI Worlds anyway. I would do ADCC anyway. I would do CGI anyway. Cool. that's it. And then I'm not, not being funny, but it's like there's other. Obviously, I'm not looking to compete as often as someone who wants to compete like every month. Cool, but I've been competing for years, and it's not what I'm interested in, especially now with the gym. So it all lined up really perfectly for me. So I was like, this makes the most sense. I go to Vegas a few times a year, compete on the UFC, and then I can be home at the gym and focusing on the people here and like training them, and I'm transitioning over to be a coach. So it makes way more sense for me to do that. And then obviously everyone started kicking off and whatever, and I was like, so yeah, it's just as simple as that. And I think everyone's got to do what's personal to them. A lot of people like to take some sort of strange high horse and be like, you're not bettering the sport in this sense. I do think it's interesting that blue and purple belts are signing exclusive contracts. I'm not sure how that works, but
Yeah.
Yeah, we were surprised actually.
yeah, I didn't know that was the thing. But
Yeah. If anything, it makes us more.
What is a very personal experience?
Yeah, sorry. If anything, it makes us kind of worry about kind of moving up the belts now, because for us, our goal was like, okay, this year we'll do a $5,000 tournament. Next year, if this goes well, we'll do like 5 of them or more
Scale
even.
it,
Yeah, exactly, to scale it and try and, you know, have more competitions that have prize funds. And like now that we've kind of done this, the competition hasn't happened, but you know, we've already made the money back, and we're like, okay, this is actually a model that works. We're kind of happy about that.
Yeah.
But okay, we're going to do that more times, and you know, it feels like it's doing good for the community. But the only thing that kind of worries me is like, if this is a problem at blue and purple belt, and the only other problem we had with the women's tournament is just numbers. It's really hard to find that many women. And I'm like, surely it gets harder as you go up the belts, bar maybe black belt. I don't know, maybe there's a lot of black belts, but I'm assuming there's less brown belts than blue belts. So yeah, I think like exclusivity contracts, if anything, just make it hard as an organizer to just put on a show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess from an athlete's point of view, would you, if there were more paid organizations, more paid comps out there, would that sway you away from?
I mean, yeah, I mean, IBJJF don't pay. I mean, they pay for Gi Worlds if you win, but there's no like. There was talks before of like paying on the podium. If they started to, I wouldn't even do nogi if they were paying. I wouldn't do nogi. I don't like
Really?
nogi. No, I don't like it. I mean, I do like it. I love jiu-jitsu. But nogi sucks. It's
As a nogi guy, he's heartbroken right
Yeah.
now.
I'm so sorry.
Only nogi. Yeah.
No, I love jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu. I love nogi. But in comparison to the gi is the love of my life. The gi is my husband. We're committed. And I have a little dabble with my little side chick nogi every now and then. But I'm committed to gi. But like, yeah, like that's why I love doing Masters Worlds, because I'm like, this is purely out of joy, dream, and whatever. But if gi tournaments are paying and they were offering me a contract UFC gi, off I'd be. I'd never do nogi ever again. The only reason I started doing nogi super fights is because it's the only place that was really paying consistently, and it just made way more sense at that point. And you know, people were generating more of a following from the nogi scene anyway. So I was like, oh, I kind of have to be. Just happened accidentally, and then it's like, am I going to pay all this money to go out for this at this point? And like, don't get me wrong, IBJJF built my career. Like winning these tournaments, I'm so proud of it on a personal level. Like Gi Worlds, the second time, was like by far my proudest accomplishment. That maybe the least amount of people cared about, but it doesn't matter because I cared about it, and that I know how hard it is. I know that the gi scene is way harder than the nogi scene. Anyone who tries to say that's not true, you're a liar. You know you're doing nogi because it's easier. Let's be honest. I'm doing nogi because it's easier. It is. You want me to go and do gi with Gabby Pisania? No. And then not get paid, get killed by Gabby, and then not get paid? I'm okay. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to fight for like a personal challenge, but like that's what you're doing. Or a lot of people can kind of, line up a tasty match with this person who's been. That's not happening with me. I keep getting the best people. I get all the hard people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I don't get tasty matchups, and that my matches are still very hard. That's not what I'm saying. But like fight a gi division of like 4 or 5 matches in a day, of like unknown person one who is actually from Brazil, and she's actually a monster, but no one knows who they are, but she's like amazing. Or you have a super fight, one fight, you get paid, why, you know, anyone I talk to that's moved away from the gi is like, yeah, it's just no easy, isn't it? Not easy. That's not me saying it's easy, but
At the highest level.
at the
it's
highest
easier.
level,
Yeah.
comparatively to gi worlds, oh my god. Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm gonna do that. Sorry. I do love no gis.
My heart. Final question then. Because you said IBJJF kind of made your career, obviously not all due, but you know, probably did a good part in like growing your publicity, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you think, what do you think matters more? If we're growing our comp, let's say we have $5,000 that we're currently doing, like paying our athletes. Do you think it's better to, let's say, grow that to 10 grand if we can, or to like spend more money in like production and help growing the athletes' brands? Do you think that matters more?
It depends how you want to get people into it, I guess. Like, I don't know what the criteria is for being in the show as well. But it's hard for me to say. I've never run an event, so I'm hesitant.
From an athlete's point of view though, sorry, because for us, we don't really care from our point of view. It's more like, how can we help the scene
maybe
more?
Because it's blue and purple, I would say maybe more, there could be investment into the behind the scenes stuff. That could be one, like, for sure. But I do think that the big prize money thing, it does draw more eyes to the event as well. So it's kind of like it's a win-win wherever that investment goes, I think. But like there's the shock factor of the money being like, oh wow, 10K, that's crazy. But then also like, yeah, I think those athletes would appreciate coverage, especially if they're blue and purple and they're kind of like trying to build themselves up in the scene and stuff. I've given you such diplomatic answers. Sorry, I just hesitate to read.
Oh, good.
I don't know if I'm like, even my own opinion could be something that I would go back and go, actually, I don't think that. I just, in the moment, I'm like, maybe this.
No, this has been really, really helpful and awesome interview. So thank you.
Like getting like hiccups here. I was like, I hope they got here. I'm sorry. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
for your
your
time.
time. Really appreciate it, and it's been great, you know, being here at Arma and seeing everything. It's really been fantastic.
And
you.
training here has
And
been
training,
amazing.
yeah, you did everything.
Train at Arma. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.